Okay, thank you. Let's start again. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Roberto. Here we are, folks. What's happening today? What the Americans call serendipity. Yes? Really lovely coincidence. On the weekend, sometime late last week, I ran into a former student of mine from the Civil Service College. Now, I have to tell you before he comes, before I met him, Miss Diane Campbell, who is in charge of one of the people in charge of the Civil Service College, had said to me, I have a new student from XY department of the government who feels very shy. He feels he's been out of the classroom since X time. He never thought he would go to college. And, he is assured he should be coming to college. So can you keep an eye on him? So I said to Miss Diane, yes, of course. When I met this guy, was it a whole different ball game? Yes. In other words, did he turn out to be one of the people in the classes he was in who would make the class? There are always some students who make a difference once they walk into a class. They raise the bar, so to speak. They're more interested in the topics. They do more than the required homework. They don't just do the homework, they share with other students. In other words, this was a guy who would come in with a big smile on his face and say, Miss, I found this on the internet, I thought it would be useful, I made some copies for us, and so on. And so in other words, did he demonstrate some of the important aspects of real learning, sharing and caring, and of course, taking the initiative to go beyond the homework? Yes? Okay, go beyond the assigned work. So of course, then, I didn't need to keep an eye on him at all. Okay, now, what I noticed about him was also his enthusiasm for the experience of college. And is this enthusiasm, of course, something that is lacking in many students who are perhaps too young to understand the value of a college education? Yes? In other words, say for instance, my dreaded English 101s. Yes, Cody, I think you will remember what that group of 43 people was like. Yes, painful. Because half of those people or more did not wish to be in that room. They were there because parents were paying for them or the government was paying for them. Yes? The people who were paying for themselves were a whole different ballgame. Yes? Or whose parents were paying for them but had let them know that the money did not fall from the sky. Yes? Okay. So, in other words, it's one of the problems, if you talk to any lecturers and teachers generally, is one of the big problems of teachers, namely lack of motivation among students. Yes or no? Yes. In other words, do the British people have a good idea when they talk about students doing what they call a gap year before young people go to college? When they come out of high school, whether they do the A-levels or not, the idea is they should do a year of work, even if it is working for charity. We've seen Prince William and his younger brother do this, what they call the gap year, where they work for charity. Yeah? And you will notice that the children are very wealthy but enlightened people. In other words, all wealthy people are not crass materialists. Yes? You've seen where their parents want them to do this kind of work. And is this one of the things that the wonderful things I've experienced with working for the Civil Service College. Now, when Mr. Hassan was here, you may have heard of him, did he, in fact, put some things in place for the college? Yes. And one of these things was the Civil Service College. Yes. We have to give credit where credit is due, not just to him, but to Mr. Kirk Tibbet, yes, and Mrs. Rodriguez, head of the Department of Education. They were the people who really, and of course Mr. Makiba, I think, was in opposition then, perhaps, but he obviously was supporting it too. And supporting something like this is not just saying, okay, I'll go along with the funding out of the budget. It means what? Giving your psychological support, giving your emotional support, not just to the project itself, but to the individuals who will be part of that project. So there we are. At that time, of course, I and Mr. Suarez in math, yes, some of you have met him, decided we were going to volunteer to teach in the Civil Service College. At that time, we didn't know that we'd be paid X dollars an hour, and I don't know how long we will be paid for, yes. But the idea was, at that time, we're going to do this for free. Why? Because, of course, traditionally, people who enter the civil service when they are 18 or 20, I'm sure you have friends who have done that, primarily because they need to help support themselves and families, yes? Traditionally, those people are seen as who? The Cinderellas of the workforce. In fact, do we see today where, because of government financial strictures and constraints, the civil service has to be cut? You've seen that. 2 years ago, there was this big report done by, I think it was a foreign team of researchers. It was called the Miller Report. And this report said very clearly, with cold facts and figures to back it up, that X percentage of the civil service would have to be cut, would have to be let go. What you may not know as well, of course, is that the civil servants do not have to pay their own pension money, and they don't have to pay their own health care costs. Now, these are huge costs to governments or employers or individuals. At the college, we pay these ourselves. I think the college still puts in a small amount, of the health care, but we pay the pension. Okay, we are not really civil servants as such. The truth is, we're legally not defined as civil servants. I'm not sure what we're defined as. Yeah? Some people say that we're civil servants when it's convenient, and we're not when it's not convenient. But anyway, the interesting thing, of course, is that the Civil Service College has been, in my opinion, an effort to do what? To help rectify this stereotype about civil servants, that they are these people who would make constant demands on government funding, but actually make no contributions. They take long lunches, they don't come back on time from lunch, they go away early in the afternoon, they come late every day, and they are always absent the day before a long weekend and the day after a long weekend. Yes? You know that stereotype of civil servants. However, what I've experienced working on and off with the Civil Service College, I'll teach a course for them every now and then when my schedule allows, yes? It's always a pleasure being with these people. They want to come. They come not just because it's free of cost. They wish to be there, yes? And their enthusiasm is contagious. In other words, and Ms. Diane has said to me, I'm not the only teacher who has said this to her, that in actual fact, you may go there tired, because often it's after you've taught at this college. But as soon as you're with these people, you get energized again. You're no longer tired. So it's a fascinating experience working with these people, these adults. And I, as a teacher, have gained a lot of inspiration from them. So this gentleman then, his name is Paul, will come and talk to us about his particular topic, which won him the local prize from the Toastmasters Oratory Association. You may know those. They exist to give speeches. Oh, lovely. Yes? And he also won the regional prize on behalf of Cayman for his speech as well, the one he's going to deliver to us today. So this happened quite by serendipity, as we said, but I think you'll enjoy it. Fair enough? Now today's handout, which you should pay attention to, yes, is of course useful in preparation of our upcoming speech. In other words, it says at the top, note these as you prepare your speech. Yes? And then I give a little booklet with important reminders of some of the biggies of speech making. Now, Jonathan, are you with us? We said that in actual fact, can you pass this thing for me? We said that we would come back here with some ideas about what we wanted to talk about. So I want each of you to tell me now, before Paul comes. We got more topics last time, and we agreed that over the weekend we'd sleep on them and think about them, because we were coming back here to talk about, to tell me what you are going to work on. Now, is it possible that we may change our minds on our topic? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. We also said last time that the roster goes in terms of the person whose surname ends with A or B, the top of the alphabet, then one person whose surname ends with something from the bottom, then one from the middle, then starting again. We'll make a roster after this. But what I do want from you now is some statement on your topic. Now, if you miss classes, it is not my responsibility to get you up to date. We've had a lot of absenteeism in this group, and if you ask any teacher, the absenteeism is maddening. I have tried my best to get people up to date, but after this, no more. Also, if you miss your space in the roster, you want to postpone your speech, either you speak to me or you exchange with somebody else in the group. Otherwise, you will lose the grade for the speech, and that grade, as we said last time, is 10%, 10 out of the 30 points for the term work. Now, is this where we've been moving towards all term? We've been looking at famous speeches by famous orators and leaders, yes? We've noticed that some people use tone powerfully, some people use figurative language powerfully, and so on down the line. Do we also have to think in terms of props, costuming, maybe even background music, anything that we will use to strengthen our delivery? I need to hear from you now, anybody, as to what you have been thinking about. This is where, my friends, the rubber meets the road. We've been moving towards this. People have been fairly relaxed in this course. Last time I was very upset by the lack of responsiveness from people. I was standing here talking to myself a lot. This is a very boring exercise. Okay, here we go. Tell me. Anybody? Lennox, I actually picked on you and said, I wanted you to do the one on your chosen career and talk to us about being a teacher. And I said to you, think about it, because of course it might be a disturbing topic. Yes? Because teachers are some of the Cinderellas of the workplace, aren't they? Yes. Okay, tell us, Lennox, have you thought about it any further?
No, I haven't further.
But are you willing to do it?
Yes, I'm thinking about it. I think I might do it.
And of course, I gave a warning to you last time that you shouldn't tell us, because if you tell me, I'm going to jump on you in the question and answer section. Don't simply say that money is your primary goal. Money should be one of our goals, making ourselves financially stable. But if it's your primary goal, you will end up hating whatever it is you do to make the money. Do I know a lot of people who actually left teaching, quite a few, to go or teaching or psychology or one of the human caring professions, to go into law to make money? And what was their response to the experience of law? They hated it with a passion. Yes. Okay, talk to me then, people.
So, I wasn't here last week.
I know.
One of the 5 topics, or?
You were not here last class, and it was your job to get in touch with somebody in the class and get up to date. Yes. We were to have chosen one of the 5 to stick a pin. Is it possible that you may want to combine 2 of the topics? Yes or no? And of course, some people are coming up with topics of their own. Joad?
I want to put my own topic.
Yes, which would be?
I want to speak on skateboarding.
On what?
Skateboarding.
Skateboarding. Okay. As a hobby or as a skill for competition purposes?
What do you mean, like the purpose of the skill?
Don't they have competitions in skateboarding? Yes. Is it just going to be a private hobby, or will it be as a competitive skill?
I don't understand.
Skateboarding just for fun, or to enter competitions? You know this?
The purpose of my speech?
No.
What's your purpose? Skateboarding.
What's my purpose?
How will you be dealing with skateboarding?
As hobby.
As a hobby, okay. You know, I'm not sure if you people take an interest in this, these competitions, the international competitions in, what you call it again, riding the waves, surfing. And have you ever watched those? What often starts out as a hobby becomes a professional competitive skill. That's why I was asking that question, Jonathan. Okay, next person.
The title is definitely a working process because what I thought it was a little too terrible.
Terrible in what
Hold
sense?
on. It's an argument against the overreaction to racial slurs.
Thank you. An argument against overreactions to what are seen as racial slurs.
I like how you put that.
Well, is that really where you're going
That's
with
where
it?
I'm going.
And does this relate just to American society where race and racism are kind of big issues? Yes?
Not just related to American society, related worldwide.
Okay.
A lot of it will be giving power to certain things that shouldn't have power. And
In other words,
example, words.
do we give too much power to certain words? Are you listening to us? Do we give too much power to certain words?
I think so, in my opinion.
Interesting. Yes. Okay. Anybody else?
I thought about it. I'm going to pick with my chosen career as well.
My chosen career,
And
that's...
sort of like add on number 3, which is like a topic on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of listen to them together, like one chosen career.
And what?
And well, it's combining the 2 basically. the topic is also going to be on troubled students, behavior trouble, and like what society looks at them as and what I view them as.
Okay, so my chosen career and troubled students. And we could put troubled in quotation marks. In other words, those who are seen as troubled.
Yeah.
Okay, and may I ask if your chosen career is going to be psychology?
No, actually, well, for the time being, I'm going to be working for the government, it's not statutory support aid, so I'm going to be working with those behaviors and this.
So is one of your majors psychology now?
No, it's going to be, I'm actually more different representative into secondary education.
In
Education, associates education.
Yeah, but you are going to spend some time, even if you do it on the side, pursuing psychology studies. Yes.
Yeah.
Lennox says you have to.
I've actually done two, already, two psychology classes already, so.
Here at the college?
Yeah.
Which one? Psychology 1 and 2. Wonderful. What's your first name again, my friend? Gavin, of course. Lothian. Okay.
Also, since I wasn't there, I never heard too much about it. Are we going to be, it's not going to be okay for anything.
Sorry? No, I don't read it. I don't want the written version.
No,
But
we're not going to read from papers or anything. We're not going to read. We're just going to be.
do we know that it's suicide for a speaker to do too much reading?
Right.
My advice is that remember what Professor Mehabrian told us about the fact that though we may worry unduly about remembering the exact words we wrote down in our notes, we shouldn't, because most audiences give only 7% of their credibility to the actual words we say. That what audiences value instead would be under the subheading what? Nonverbal signs of conviction. Do you really believe what you are saying? And of course, if audiences feel that we're just standing here chatting, yes? And, this doesn't mean anything to us, and we don't really care about them, they will tune us out. We know that in some countries they'll fling things at the stage, at the speakers, yes? Okay. Sorry. Jonathan, you had your hand up.
When you were asking me about when I say was a hobby or not, you were writing that down, right?
I was asking if it was as a hobby, or are there any international competitions that skateboarders get into? I've seen some on TV.
Sorry, well, my question was, basically, do you have to know what the purpose of the speech is and everything?
Of the speech or the skateboarding?
No, my speech. My speech is on skateboarding.
Is this essentially an expository and persuasive speech?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we're telling people about ourselves indirectly, aren't we? When we tell them what we want to do. But do we have, at some stage, our thesis statements in it which are persuasive?
Yes, ma'am.
In other words, you love skateboarding. It's a hobby. Why? It decreases stress. Yes. It builds the body. It probably builds and hones, sharpens your sense of space, spatial relationships, distance. Yes. Yes. Isn't that what our basketball players are doing when they're constantly practicing throwing hoops? Yes or no? Yes. Spatial distances.
I understand.
Yeah. So in other words, well, is it true that many of us have seen people with hobbies they love, which become lifetime careers? Yes or no? Of course. Okay. So Jonathan, you're staying with that. Uh-huh. The next person. Lennox, you're staying with teaching, but maybe you're going to give your own slant to it.
Yes. That's what
Yes. Next person. Even if it's an unfinished idea, talk to me, please.
I'm just gonna do it number 2.
Sorry?
Number 2.
Sorry?
For the career.
Careers. Uh-huh. Okay. Want to say what it is yet?
Yeah, hold on. Just gonna read that question.
Sorry?
Which was the career and what so yeah, I'm just gonna do a career, a speech about what I want to do and what that will bring me in life, and
What it will bring to your life.
yeah, and how it can help me in life and make me happy and just overall achieve happiness.
Yes. Happiness just for yourself?
Well, I mean, I guess you could say if I have a family one day, that too.
Yes. And are we also the part of the family of society around us? So the poets call it the family of man. Yes? Is it true that happy people tend to spread the joy? That if we actually love what we do, as we've heard the expression before, if we love the work we do, we'll never work an unbearably hard day in our lives. We'll work hard, no doubt about that, but it won't be unbearable. Yes? Okay. What career is it, my friend? Huh? Accounting. Okay. Can I ask a question? Can I throw something at you? Yeah? We know that some of the most experienced and formally respected accounting firms in the past, say, is it 10 years, 5 years, I'm thinking of Anderson and Anderson, yes? Who actually helped to conceal what was happening, yes? In that huge collapse of the stock market. What was the name of it again?
No idea.
Hey, man, we got to know. It is said that the American government will continue paying for this and trying to pay off shareholders and workers for the next million years. The collapse of Enron.
And on?
Anybody who is going into accounting should study the Enron disaster.
I'll probably get there at some point.
Enron. Don't do the speech without doing some research on that. Okay, here is Paul. Thank you very much. Stop it for a minute, please.
It's Paula.
Hi, how are you? Here we go. A few people have said they would have to be absent today. And as I've said to you previously, this guest speech came as a result of what I call serendipity, a kind of happy coincidence. Yes? Paul is a member of the Grand Cayman Toastmasters Club. Those of you who are really interested in speeches and oratory as a skill, yes, and of course as a hobby, may have heard of Toastmasters. He's a student at the Civil Service College, the UCCI College, because basically the Civil Service College runs out of upstairs the library. But in actual fact, sometimes we take the courses to our clients, the civil servants. For instance, last term I was teaching up at the prison. We were carrying an English course for prison officers up there. Yes? They have a wonderful classroom up there. You would not believe it. How nice it is. Yes? And they send lunch for you as well. Because I would be there for, say, 3 hours on a Friday. So we just stayed put. Then, of course, what else have I learned about the Civil Service College? They service the people who are often seen as we said, the Cinderellas of the workplace, the civil servants. And in actual fact, Paul said to us at one stage that the department that he was in was being downsized, and people were being interviewed in the downsizing process. And the question he was asked by the interviewers was, you are the only person in your department who has actually taken advantage of the option of continuing your education free of cost at the Civil Service College. Why did you make this choice? Interesting. Yes? And I have said to many of my students, yes, you're taken for granted in the civil service. Many civil servants do in fact live down to the stereotype that says you're always ill when you're needed. You're always absent on the day before or the day after a long weekend. You take late lunches, you come late, you go home early. And the people in the civil service then who are the good workers who care find themselves doing double time to make up for these chronic absentees. I've said this to some of my civil service college students, and I say to them, so you're tired by the end of the day or the end of the week. Why are you in this room? And they all said to me the same thing, much the same thing, that when they were younger, they didn't have the money or the opportunity to go to college, and here it was being given to them on a silver platter, so to speak. And hence then the joy of being with these people. The title of, and of course the Civil Service College credits are now being made interchangeable with UCCI credits. Yes. The title of Paul's speech is The Problem with Online Dating. And for those of us who are the computer lovers, the lovers of computers, this should be of interest. I'm going to leave it here, Paul, because the problem is some people are absent.
Okay.
And we want to welcome Paul and tell him how much we appreciate his finding the time to come.
The speech title, The Problem with Online Dating. During my speech, I will answer the question that Ms. Paula was trying to explain, why I decided to join the Civil Service College. So here was my speech. Millions of people all over the world are using the internet to find dates. And by the time my speech is over here this afternoon, over 3 million people will agree to go out on dates, thanks to the internet. Hearing these numbers, you might be asking yourself, how come I showed up here without a date? The reason for that is simply because my internet has been down for a while. It is not my fault, however. I blame my neighbors for this. They're the ones who put a password on their Wi-Fi connection. Fellow students, ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon I want to highlight a very big problem with online dating. Now I've mentioned that over 3 million people will agree to go out to dates. But the sad reality is that approximately 65% of that 3 million will experience what I call online dating disappointment. And this simply means they will be disappointed with their dates. See, I've been a victim of online dating disappointment. So here's my story. I had the perfect relationship. Me and my girlfriend, we were in love. But all of a sudden, she decided she was going to leave me. And to this day, I'm still asking myself, why? Why is she got such a good guy like me? After all, we only argued and fight like 6 days of the week, 3 to 4 hours a day, but that was it. I gave her no reason to leave me, but she left me for someone she found online. I was so lonely, I was so sad. That was when I decided to join the Civil Service College. I joined with the intention to find me a date. Unfortunately for me, Most of the students in my class were already taken. The only single student we had was a big belly police officer. I think his name was Mr. Dean. And no offense to Mr. Dean, but I just don't date police officers. Out of luck with the civil service college, I decided to turn to the ultimate source, the vast internet. And in no time at all, I found the perfect woman. She was sexy, smart, beautiful, intelligent, and better yet, filthy rich. Our conversations moved quickly from chatting online to the telephone. And I fell in love with her angel-like voice. It wasn't long we decided to meet on our very first date. I was at the restaurant, sitting at the bar on a stool, anticipating the moment she will arrive. With smiles on my face, a hand touched me on the back of my shoulder. And that angel-like voice that I'm so familiar with said, "Paul." I turned around with excitement. But the excitement quickly melted off my face. And my face was painted with a somewhat disappointed look. And my mouth just opened and uttered these words. "Granny, how do you know my name?" No exaggerations, ladies and gentlemen, but my perfect date, my perfect woman, turned out to be a 73-year-old granny. Was I disappointed? Was I really disappointed? You bet I wasn't. After all, she was filthy rich. We sat and had dinner, and then the disappointment came and kicked me in the face. As she finished eating the lobster dinner that I was paying for her, she plucked out her dentures and washed it in a glass in front of me and said to me, "Paul, sorry to disappoint you, but I lied about the riches. I am broke." What? I was furious. I was mad. And that was when I realized that I had had my first dose of online dating disappointment. Here is a similar story. I have a friend, his name is Raj, and he is from India. One day he came running to me all excited. He said, "Paul, I have met the perfect woman online. And tonight, she wants me to meet her in a hotel room at the Ritz-Carlton." I said, "Raj, slow down, slow down. First of all, what is the perfect woman?" He said, you know. Sexy, rich, perfect. I said, "Okay, Raj, go have fun." Raj went there with excitement, and he burst through the room door, and there she was on the bed. But he paused, and he said, "What is this?" And the woman said, "Oh, Raj, honey, come on in. I am wearing my love suit just for you tonight." Raj paused, and he said, hold on. If you're going to wear the love suit, please iron the suit, it is too wrinkled. Was Raj disappointed? You bet he was. He has had his first dose of online dating disappointment. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the big problem with online dating, the one that I'm trying to highlight here this afternoon, is that people will lie to you about who they are and what they are on their profiles. They will upload pictures that don't necessarily represent the way they actually look. And often this will lead to what I call online dating disappointment. So as I leave you, be aware of this. So the next time you decide to venture on an online date, have an open mind and expect the unexpected. And for the gentlemen in the room, if you seem to like the idea of a wrinkled love suit, contact me a few days from now. I just might be able to hook you up. After the end of the speech, any questions, please?
Yes, we have questions. Yes, we have questions. Can you stay close, Roberto?
Oh, yes.
Please? Yes. Okay. I want to thank Paul for a very ironic and witty speech. Yes. In terms of what we've been noticing about techniques, charming smile and charming introduction, Great use of irony and self-satire throughout. I was amazed by your capacity to mimic accents. You are mimicking your friend's
Right.
accent from India. Great shifts in tone and great use of textures in the pitch of your voice. Dramatic gestures and body and face gestures were also dramatic. In other words, you seem to act out the very emotions you were discussing. Thank you. Okay, questions for Paula. Of course I have one. Yes?
Please, Mr. Anderson.
Is this real?
Is it real?
Yeah.
Most of it, not all of it. I had to get a speech for the contest, so I decided to take my own experience and add a little bit here and there. Not everything is actually true. But of course, in Toastmaster, your speech don't necessarily have to be all facts.
That's why at first I actually found it a little artificial at first, but then I was like, okay. After definitely hearing that, I was like, okay, I see
Yeah,
it.
definitely. Any more questions? Yep. In Toastmasters, once somebody do that, they have a question or they have something to say. A comment, not necessarily a question. How do you find the speech?
Yeah. Jenny, then team said.
Okay. Any more comments, questions?
I have a question. It's more of a challenge than a question. Why is it that in online dating, as in everything else, the appearance of one's date is given so much importance? In other words, why do we place so much emphasis on the physical appearance of this dream date?
Okay.
Not to mention the financial status. Why?
Well, I think, Dr. Anderson, I think typically we look, the first thing that attracts us to a person before we decide to make that decision to go on a date is the person looks. For me, the looks definitely. Then you go and talk to the person and you get to know the person and you say, well, I like what's inside this good looking person, right? And then you go further. But two incentives would be good looks and riches. If you're rich, a lot of people, I would say, and this is just me guessing here, 80% of the people out there who are looking for dates are looking for someone who is financially stable and pretty much good looking.
But my question then is, have we ever met somebody who is perfect in the looks department? I mean, we could not ask for more. They are our version of the dream good-looking person. Have we ever met such a person and then we got to know that person? And this person's behavior was so nasty
Right.
that they redefined ugly for us. We couldn't see them as handsome or pretty or beautiful anymore. What then?
Well, I guess, yes,
Sorry?
yes, absolutely.
Worse than that.
The thing is, to answer that question, I would say a date is really a chance to get to know that person. What you see is what encourages you to go for a date, right? But after that date, that's when you really decide whether you're going to get something serious with this person, you're going to start a relationship. So I think the date really is not really a relationship as such. It's just the opportunity to get to know whether this person is really good looking in the inside and they are on the outside.
It's what the French would call a reconnoiter.
Absolutely.
So, the part of the speech where you were mimicking your little Indian friend,
Right.
and he went to the hotel, that part was not fact. So
No, that is actually true. That part was really, that's the part that really inspired the whole speech. He stopped and he said, hold on. Yeah. So he actually acted out the whole scene to me when he was telling me the story. He said, I had to say, hold on. What is this? And I said, really? He said, yes. And I said, so what happened? He said, I told her, if you go to wear the love suit, please iron the suit. It is too wrinkled. I said, really? It was that wrinkled? He said, yes. So he was a bit disappointed, and hence my speech.
But interestingly, he was coming from a culture in which there is a lot of arranged marriage.
Perfect. Yeah. He is. He's not used to the whole dating thing as such. He is, like you say, from his cultural background, you know, he's
He's accustomed to arranged marriages.
Yeah.
The other question is about money. Is it also true that there is this other irony? That any of us who have met people who are extremely wealthy, or who, worse yet, they have made the money themselves, they have inherited it. What do we notice about such people's attitudes? Has anybody in this room met such a person?
You mean dating-wise or just...
Maybe dating-wise, yeah. Maybe not through online dating. Maybe running into them, you know, somewhere and meeting them at a friend's house and this person asks you out on a date. Or just having a conversation, maybe sitting, waiting in line somewhere at the doctor's office, wherever.
In terms of abuse?
In
terms of things belonging to them? And
no, not the things belonging to them, but their attitudes. How many of us have had that experience?
Some of them, they kind of look down on others.
Yeah, you have it.
Because they know they have it up there, and if we are not at their standard, it's like
They're
people
doing
down
your thing.
there doesn't value anything, really. I don't know.
So
That's
sort of like
the
a
impression I
hierarchy
get from some
complex.
guys.
It's a what?
I don't know if it's like a hierarchical complex or something like
They look at themselves as at the top of the food chain. Yeah,
Some
it's
of them.
uh-huh.
On the other hand, some of them don't really care.
Right.
It's just that they spend they talk to whoever.
Given those real life experiences. Sorry, yeah?
I said I have a couple rich friends that they don't even want to mention that they're rich.
No, and they are probably from
They're
another.
real humble and
Yeah.
Are these people from a certain age group? Cody? Is it perhaps a generational thing? That there is a generation perhaps over a certain age who have been taught to overvalue the money?
But I think more personality has something to do with it.
Personality and values.
'Cause I have friends that are
Yeah.
the complete opposite of how
They're wealthy, but money is not their God, so to speak. Yeah. And they don't use it as their calling card. Yeah.
I have some that do and some that don't.
Yeah. Okay. My question then is, Paul, if we're so aware then that money can bring with it either very positive attitudes or amazingly negative attitudes, why is it that in online dating, so many people emphasize either looks or money or both?
I guess we are just hoping for the positive side of this whole money effect. So, you know, we try to ignore the negative side. Hopefully, you're with all intention, you're hoping that, you know, this person, despite the fact that they're rich, they're going to be down to earth, you know, and treat you nicely. We do have a percentage of the rich people who are like that. So, I guess for most people. And there is a survey done by, I'm not sure the website, but you can see some statistics about online dating, which I looked at before the speech as I was preparing for it. And they show a lot of things that if your profile state that you have a good income, you're likely to get some hits. Yeah. And may I just add here, for clarification, the speech wasn't designed as a factual speech. It was designed as a humorous speech because the contest that I entered was a humorous speech contest. And I went to Puerto Rico just a few weeks, 3 weeks back to represent Cayman, and I placed first amongst the Caribbean. Yeah. So it was good. And one of the things you look for when you're presenting a humorous speech is the audience. You gotta get the vibes from the audience. So some of the part where I had good laughter, I kind of stretch it out, you know, and it was really good so that the judges are looking for laughs per minute. So they have these little watch, and when people start laughing, they time. So it all adds up at the end, and that's how they score you. So if you were like a bigger audience, you were prepped up knowing that it's a humorous contest or the environment was set up for that, probably would have had more laughter. Yeah, and I would have added a few things. There are some more funny part, but looking at the age group and all that, I definitely took out a few things.
Okay. So another question. So you basically profiled your audience, right?
Yes.
And what ways did you profile your audience?
Well, you want to look at the audience, first of all, before you even get to the point where you're going to see the audience, you want to have an understanding as to what kind of people are going to be there. In Toastmasters, whenever they have these conference or these speech contests, you can expect a lot of Toastmasters, people who are into it already. So they know a lot. Like some of the things I used in the speech were more appropriate for Toastmasters because they're familiar with the material already. So when I talked about a big belly police officer, I referred to a big belly Toastmaster. And it was so funny for them because they're all Toastmasters, you know. So I knew that already. I knew that beforehand that that's the kind of people going to be there. The audience was about 250 people. And they were mainly, 90% of them were Toastmasters. So they were expecting that kind of jokes, that kind of humor.
Two things that I noticed too is that you were using at least 4 things that are, to me, very important to this generation. The internet,
Right.
dating, money,
Right.
and looks. So you really painted a vivid picture with the humor, and in making your transit between reality and facts, no one could figure it out unless,
You're right.
you know,
Yes.
they were really into what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. One of the things I got good feedbacks on was the originality of the speech. Most of the contestants there were 12 contestants, and most talked about the fear of dogs, swimming, and all. But when I said online dating, the audience started laughing already. There was a little smile on their face.
E-harmony.
Yes, and you know, there's so much stuff going on with online dating. I mean, trust me, I will say anyone that's within this age range here from like 19 to 30 might have had an experience with trying to find a date online. So, yeah, a lot of people could have related to it. Any more questions? So let me take this opportunity then to invite everyone here to the Toastmasters Club. What I did a while ago is nothing compared to what some of our more senior Toastmasters can do when they stand up in front of an audience. We have some very seasoned Toastmasters. They've been in the program for like 10 years. And it's not just about delivering speech, it's about improving your communication skills, your public speaking skills, and your leadership skills. So we set up events and we give you to manage. Put you in a place to chair like a meeting or something so that you develop your leadership skills. You get to delegate different tasks to people and you practice. And the whole program is based on giving feedbacks. So we give you a task or a speech to present, and then everybody sits down, listen to you, and write feedbacks and give to you. Say, these are some of your strong points, your strong areas. These are some of your weakness. You need to improve here. These are some suggestions for improvement. So it helps you to grow and build and develop yourself. So the program is very effective. I've been a member for about 1.5 years now. And I've been successful to the point where I've gone to represent the country, our club, in the Caribbean Speech Contest, and I got first. So it's, you know, for me, I like it, I love it, and I will encourage everyone to come out and visit. Every Thursday we meet at Georgetown Library, 3rd floor, from 6 to 6:30 p.m. Trust me, if you come as a guest, whoever is at the door is going to make you feel so welcome that you will want to come back the next week.
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday.
The 3rd floor of the Georgetown Library from 6 to 6:30. Thank you.
Yep.
One more question then, Paul. What made you join?
The Toastmasters.
Yes.
I was invited just to have a look at what was going on there. I had no idea. When there was a friend of mine, she said, let's go to the Toastmasters meeting and say, what we're going to do there. She said, you will see. So in my head, I thought we're going to practice toasting or having drinks or something. So I thought, it's a Thursday afternoon, why not, I was feeling for a drink, so I said, let's go. Turned out they had this formal meeting set up, and you get to sit down, and the president, she got up and she called the meeting to order. I'm like, these people toast in style. So that was the whole reason. After I saw what was happening there, and the opportunity to really stand up in front of an audience and overcome that fear and control that nerve and everything, I thought, you know what, I should give this a try, and it might help me in my communication, my daily communications, and it has improved my relationship with my coworkers and everyone within my work environment has improved significantly ever since I became a Toastmaster.
Okay. I just want to say thanks very, very much to Paul for coming, for making time to run from work and go back, coming to talk to us, because I felt that at this particular point we're in this little gap between midterms and the post-midterm period, and we needed a little boost, and you certainly gave it to us.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, Ms. Paula, I'm going to leave,
Yeah.
and hopefully, and what else or what better way to give them a nice little joke to have them laugh. And once you get their attention, you start speaking. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Roberto, take care. See you guys.
Thanks a lot. Relax us and relax the audience. It can be quite charming, yes? But in actual fact, are we also aware that, are you with us, my friends? Yeah, that it can make a big difference as well in making a point, yes? I think his humor did actually tell us how unrealistic the whole online dating thing can be. Okay, in terms of our names, yes, dear.
When did you say it's due?
We want to start the cycle of speeches next week, Monday. Yeah? Yeah.
We have to write.
So this one is starting next week Monday.
Yeah. Monday or Wednesday, but usually we get volunteers. We love the volunteers, the icebreakers. No, let's continue for the people who are absent, please. Thank you.
So we don't need our hand in anything for all this. We can write down the notes.
Question. Hello. Can you hold on then, Roberto? Because we have to take all this stuff up here. Okay, Jonathan, your name begins with A. So you're the starter. But I'll just read you a rough example of how the roster could be. It would be Jonathan first, and then Dushan, because Dushan you are W, right? And Jonathan is A. Then of course, somebody from the middle would be either Gavin or Joash.
Mr. Joash had a really good idea about making the people that are absent go first.
No, my experience with the people who are absent is that they absolutely delay the roster, thank you. And some of them, thanks Roby, some of them lose the grade. In other words, we do reach a stage where we can't wait anymore. Yes? And then starting again would be Sasha, and then Deandro from the bottom, and then from the middle, Fabiana. You understand how this goes? Okay. Now you've got topics. I gave you actually some on the board before we went away for the midterm, and I said to you, you need to start thinking ahead. Okay? Now essentially, the latest we can afford to begin would be a week from today, next Wednesday, which would be the next Thursday, which would be the 7th. Okay? And what I'd like to do then is hear from you online or when we meet again next time as to what is your topic. I will not look at anything other than your thesis statement, nothing else. This must come from you.
So we need a topic of a business statement.
Yeah, which topic have you chosen, or are you working on something of your own?
Title, per se.
Well, the topic and the title can be the same. Yes? Can you amend the topic slightly for your own purposes? Of course. You're thinking of doing that, Gavin. Yeah, when you say my chosen career and troubled students in quotation marks. Remember what this gentleman from the high school said to me when we were helping to organize the entrance exams for the college over at the high school one day. He said to me, well, you know, Paula, we don't just have problem students. What we really are dealing with are problem parents. So there we are. Okay, so Cody, you are then near the top because you are C. Okay, by the time we come back here next Monday, do I want to hear from everybody as to what we are doing? You must make a decision. Thank you very much.
And the length is 8 to 10 minutes?
We're looking at 8 to 10 minutes. Okay. Now, is timing ourselves crucial? Remember what the textbook says. You haven't finished preparing your speech if you haven't timed it. Yes. Remember also that when you are reading it to yourself or to a friend, are you listening? Does the time pan out differently from when you are delivering it? Because sometimes people actually stop you and start laughing. At times you don't expect them to laugh. Does this happen? Yes. Are there times when, don't pack up yet, please listen. Are there times when we will deliberately find ourselves stopping? Remember the power of silence. I gave you back that handout on delivery techniques in today's booklet. Please go through it again. What struck you about his comments about profiling the audience before you meet them? Finding out about them. Did he say some of the things we've been aware of? Yeah. Get to know your audience. Have an idea of who are these people.
And address your speech appropriately.
Yes, yes. Okay. Nicholas, Justin, right? Sorry for pointing. Any ideas yet?
Probably a mixture of 2 and 3.
Of what?
Topics 2 and 3.
Which ones are those again?
Your career and your own topic.
And your own. Okay. Do you want to speak about what would be your own input yet?
I guess like probably I'm looking towards more like talking about basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But still thinking about it.
Okay. Uh-huh. Anybody else with any input as to what you're working on? So we're going to come back here next time, able to talk to me. Yeah? Gavin, I gave your exam paper to somebody for you.
Sorry?
When you weren't here last time, I gave your exam paper to somebody for you. I think it may have been my friend, the lady who is absent. What's her name? Rabin. Okay. Or Tahel, one of the two. Yeah. Anything else? Josh, you've been awfully quiet. Let's hear from you. What have you been thinking about? I know you've been thinking. A lot.
Probably a topic of my own, I'm not sure yet.
What in particular?
Listening to him mentioning, like when you guys were discussing, he brought up the issue of perfection.
So-called perfection.
So-called perfection, so I think I might do something on that.
Perfection. Yes. Thank you. Sounds good. hmm Anything else? Are we constantly being reminded that we should all be perfect? Every time we turn on the TV and watch something like American Idol, or these fashion competitions, what do they call them? Fashion model or something like that. You know those, yes. Um, the one that model, she does it. America's top model, yes. And here we are with concepts of perfection, yes. Okay. Anybody else with some ideas you want to share before we go away? My friend in the back, Caitlin. What were you thinking of?
Well, I do.
So-
I was thinking of something, so I think since I saw that speech, I kind of changed my mind. Can I talk about that being black?
Yes.
Like you see, because you were looking at her, and she has her hair natural, I have my hair natural, but people don't like a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
People picture only white girls supposed to be on magazines, and only white girls are pretty, and I believe that everyone is pretty, and even being black can be.
But is it also interesting that I was just fascinated by this because, the white girl mythology. One of my two best friends in the Bahamas when I worked there for all those years was this white American girl. She was the original blonde-haired, blue-eyed person, Huh? In terms of the looks. In terms of the looks, yeah? And I thought we were the only people who messed around with hair and who were intimidated by this beauty myth, what one American writer, Naomi Wolf, calls the beauty myth, MYTH, until she told me how long it took her. It used to take her in her slightly younger days, because we were all much younger then, how long it took her to achieve this windswept, Farrah Fawcett blonde look. More than an hour every morning just for the hair. Yes. In other words, it wasn't just a matter of going to the hairdresser to get the blonde look put in. Every morning, she said that she finally woke up to the fact that she was waking up an hour every morning earlier than necessary to work on her hair only. Because she had to wash it every morning, then of course curl it, then of course blow dry it first, curl it again, then blow it again to get precisely that windblown look. Yes. And I said, what? Yes. And then of course, when you read magazines, sometimes we get women's magazines are this interesting form of peer pressure, aren't they? Yes. And indoctrination. And when you read magazines, you realize how many, that it isn't just black women, women of the Negro race, or women of color, who are constantly intimidated by this beauty concept. Is it related also to the perfection concept? Yes? I was amazed to find out that people like Cher, from way back in the days, were getting the lips made plumper, yes, and the hair pieces put in from way, way, way back. Now Cher is part white, part Cherokee Indian, yes? I don't know if you're too young to know Cher, yes? Okay, in other words, when we're looking at this concept of beauty, do not, my warning is, if you know what I'm trying to say, don't assume that only women of color or black women, women of the Negro race, are the only ones who are constantly bombarded with these concepts of beauty. There's also an interesting magazine. Essence, of course, is the one that was created for African American women, and then Asian women, but also you'll find, if you look at it, Women of All Races by Essence. Now it's one of the all-time big sellers. But there's one called Marie Claire, coming out of Canada, where they not only use models of different races, but women of different sizes. In other words, remember the thinness thing. We must all be size 0. Is something that women in North America are bombarded with as well. How does that affect us in these cultures, where most men like women with curves? Yes. In other words, my friend, the same one, the blonde girl, used to think that her, behind was too big. And she was embarrassed about it. And I said, but are you crazy? You have a wonderful figure. So there's also that aspect to deal with. Yes? Cultural perception. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend. Okay. Can we continue then? We have to go upstairs, sorry.